10 billion won in cryptocurrency profits bought one apartment in Korea, and that's the success story. Between February and March of this year, people in their 30s in South Korea cashed out 10.3 billion won worth of crypto to buy homes. That's roughly $7.5 million. It made them the biggest crypto-to-housing converters of any age group in the country. But here's what makes that number revealing: it represents desperation, not triumph. Because in Seoul, where most want to live, the average worker now needs nearly 14 years of their entire salary, not take-home pay, their entire salary, to afford an apartment. The house price-to-income ratio has climbed past 10 to 1, putting Korea at the top of the world's least affordable housing markets. So young Koreans have built a survival mechanism. They're not choosing between real estate and financial assets. They're cycling through financial assets to eventually afford real estate. First quarter data from the Ministry of Land shows that people in their 30s liquidated over 700 billion won in stocks, bonds, and crypto combined to fund home purchases in Seoul. They're timing the market, riding speculative surges, and converting gains into down payments before prices climb further. This is an investment philosophy. It's forced financial acrobatics in a market where traditional saving has been mathematically eliminated as a path to ownership. But the crypto money is only part of the equation. In that same quarter, 30-somethings received 1.09 trillion won, nearly $800 million, in direct parental gifts and inheritances earmarked for housing. That's half of all the family wealth transferred for home purchases across every age group. You cannot statistically buy a home in Seoul in your 30s anymore without family wealth. The homeownership rate for that demographic has collapsed to just 25%, a record low. Meanwhile, 3.6 million South Koreans under 40 now don't own property at all, the highest number ever recorded. What's driving this isn't a housing shortage in the traditional sense. It's a wealth transfer crisis disguised as a real estate market. Prices in Seoul rose 8.7% in 2025 alone, the sharpest single-year jump in recent memory. For someone in their 30s without crypto wins or parental wealth, homeownership has become a statistical impossibility. They're not being priced out slowly, they're being hard-locked out of a market that now requires either speculative success or inherited capital to enter. The generation that grew up in Korea's boom years is now splitting into two: those whose parents can write checks, and those whose parents cannot. Crypto was supposed to be the decentralized escape hatch, the way to opt out of legacy finance. Instead, in Korea, it's become the only remaining lever that doesn't require a family trust. 50% of the country has touched crypto markets at some point, one of the highest adoption rates on Earth. That's not enthusiasm. That's necessity rebranded as innovation. The pattern is self-reinforcing. As more people convert assets into real estate, prices rise further, which forces the next cohort to take even bigger risks in stocks and crypto to keep pace. The government's response has been to tighten lending rules, which sounds prudent until you realize it just makes parental wealth even more decisive. If you can't borrow and you can't save fast enough, the only variable left is whether your family has money. The market has become a sorting mechanism for generational wealth, not individual effort. What happens when the people who played by the rules, studied hard, got stable jobs, realized the rules were designed for a different economy? Korea is running that experiment in real time. And the data is clear: crypto and parental money aren't side factors in the housing market anymore. They're the market. The question isn't whether this is sustainable. It's what comes after, when an entire generation builds their financial future on speculative bets because the stable path was closed before they arrived.